Good morning, people. How's it going today? Jason back fishing here. Just want to go through this past weekend. Yesterday, we did our monthly B.A.S.S Nation Bassmaster tournament here in New Jersey at Lake Apacong, which is about 20 minutes from my house. Sorry if you hear any background noise, dogs, cars, anything. I'm filming this outside. It's actually finally nice out. Yesterday was miserable. I think the heat index was sitting at right around between 100 and 111 degrees. The morning wasn't too bad. It was in the 70s, but once that sun got up about 10:30, it was absolutely brutal. The conditions on Lake Apacong were really good as far as like wind. It did get breezy throughout the day because there was a thunderstorm that they were calling for was coming through. The algae bloom was in effect. I can definitely adhere to that. It was a green colored water, but you can see it in certain areas. Like certain areas it was normal color where the visibility was, 2 to 3 feet. In other areas it was like 4 to 6 inches if you were lucky. But as far as algae bloom, I didn't notice a difference with the fish, but I think the heat was really getting to the fish. We fish hard. I am a co-angler on the B.A.S.S Nation tour. But and with the co-anglers are only allowed a fish 3 limit, where the boater or the guys that ride their own boats have a 5 fish limit. So I did limit out, which was great. I ended up with 6 pounds 88 ounces, I believe it was, something like that. It was like 6 pounds 8 ounces, where I had one good largemouth at 3 pounds and like 3.5 pounds, and the rest of were littler ones. But anyway, I wanted to go through and tell you what my key baits were for the tournament. The rod and reel combos that I was using to get that going. And we'll start. So we got onto the water, I want to say it was about 6 o'clock is when we launched off at like 5:45. Finally got to our spot 6 o'clock, and we started seeing fish breaking the surface. Honestly, I think they were stripers chasing the herring around. A boater kept swearing up and down that they were smallmouth. So first thing I was throwing was a Zoom Fluke. There was cloud coverage in the morning. It was still a little darker, so I normally use the pure white ones, but this one I was going with this white ice. The white ice has a pure white belly, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this with the camera, but if you see, the clear ice has like a transparent top, and it's got a silver flake in it. And the silver flake, I feel like when they won't commit to the pure white ones, the white ice does really good, and those flakes pick up the low light conditions to add a little flash to the bait. Honestly, not a darn fish on them. The only thing I was catching was pickerel on them. They were getting to be super annoying, the pickerel, so I stepped away from that. Second bait I started to throw, and I noticed a little bit more action. I did lose a couple fish, and that was the Yumdinger. I was using the, I believe this is the 5-inch, yeah, 5-inch dinger, and I buy these in bulk at my local Dick's Sporting Goods. They're like $10 for 30 baits, so you can't beat it. I was using the black and blue. The only problem I was having with the Yumdingers was that the Yumdingers, I think, seem to be extra slimy from the stuff that they put on them. And I rigged mine with an O-ring, and I think I'm going to convert it over to trying those plastic color sleeves. I want to see if that makes a difference. But a lot of fish were actually pulling the dingers right off of the O-ring, and I think that's due to the fact because of the oils that they use on the Yumdingers. And I went through quite a bit of dingers yesterday. I did get one bass. It was my first bass on it, and the coolest thing is when I did hoist it up and I was getting my hook out, I did notice down in the gullet I started seeing crawfish, and it got me a little excited. And then it started spitting up some crawfish, and when I put it into the live well, it spit up more crawfish, and they were little crawfish, 2-inch red color, orange color, whatever you want to call it. So that got me thinking. I am not in any way a jig fisherman. I don't fish jigs. I don't fish many weighted baits, like as far as finesse style baits, stuff like that. So I continued to fish on a little bit more with the dingers with no results. So then I started digging through my bag, and I don't fish many crawl baits. I don't fish many bottom baits at all, except for if I'm using like a finesse worm, shaky head type thing. Then I forgot that I put this in my bag, and I don't know why I did it, but I did. But a year or so ago, Walmart was doing clearance stuff, bought a whole bunch of stuff, and I picked up this Christie kit and threw it in my bag. Didn't even think about it. So I got thinking, rigged up my bait caster, bobber sinker, or bobber stop, weight stop, whatever you want to call it. Don't remember what ounce weight I put on there, and I rigged up with a 4/0 EWG, this black and blue Christie crawl. I started flipping it, or pitching it, whatever you want to call it, around the docks and stuff like that. And on like the third or fourth cast, boom, I caught another bass. Probably about a pound and a half. I kind of lie, well, again, I noticed more crawfish down his throat. So I continued to fish it. And this is a bait I have absolutely no confidence in. Texas rigging, crawls. I've done it with worms and all stuff, but mainly it's usually weightless. So I get going, day goes on, and the one thing about my boater was great, nice guy. The thing is that it was stuck in his head that he wanted to stay in this one area pretty much all day. And being a co-angler, you really don't have a say in the thing. He was giving me perfect opportunities to get into the spots, flip the docks and stuff like that. He ended up with 5 fish limit. I think he ended up with like a little over 12 pounds total. But I had to adapt. There was so many. The whole lake is nothing but docks. It's a nice body of water. It gets hit heavy with boat traffic, but there's so many docks, and I think if we had moved, I think we would have done way better flipping docks and pitching at docks and stuff like that. The area where it had a lot of sun exposure, and I think that if we got into the areas where there was more shade and stuff like that, it would have been way better. So I can consistently go on. It goes on for about an hour or so, and I don't catch another fish. I go back and forth from the dinger to this crawl, to the dinger to crawl. So about a half an hour before we take off, I put the crawl back on, and I didn't realize that my boater had flipped his bait into a cove between 2 docks. So when I had went to throw mine in there, I was like, oh crap, I'm sorry, and I put my thumb on the thumb bar, stopped the bait came back at me, hit the piling, and as it went into the water, I caught that 3.5 pounder. I couldn't done it again if I even tried, and it was pretty crazy to see his face, and he just shook his head and was laughing. He's like, I could have used that fish, I can't believe that. And so moral of the story is I placed 5th, which I was pretty excited. No check, but I get those points that I needed. But overall it was a good time. The most brutal part was the sun. I was super dehydrated. I'm still a little groggy from it. Drinking water, took ice cold shower, stuff like that. But anyway, I want to go through the rod and reel combos I was using. First thing I was using in the morning is my excuse me, get this untangled here. Was my 7'3" medium heavy Royal Legend. As anybody knows, I use Cast King. It's my thing. 7'3" medium heavy power rod. I believe this has a fast action tip, so I can feel those bumps. I got that paired up with the 731 Royal Legend Elite baitcaster. I love this baitcaster. This thing is pretty slick. And I got 50-pound braid. The braid I have on here is Power Pro. I'm not a fan of Power Pro, but at the time it was all that I have. I was using this. First I had it rigged up with a barrel swivel and 14-pound test fluorocarbon for the flukes in the morning, and I was just twitching them just underneath. And I used a barrel swivel to keep me from getting a line twist, and also then the visibility factor of line in the water. Then I converted it over to the Christie crawl, which had the bobber stop. The weight, I don't remember the size of the weight it was, but it was your basic typical size weight. 4/0 EWG Berkeley Fusion hook, and that Christie crawl. So pretty excited the way this rod and reel combo is. This is probably one of my favorite combos. I do want to start upgrading to their better rods that Cast King offers. I'll probably pick up more of these Royal Legends. The cool thing about the Royal Legends is that the Elites is that they're color specific to gear ratio. So when you go to pick, you're not having to like, oh, this one is this one and this one is this one, or label them. You know, a red is 6.3, white is 5.3, black is blah blah blah, and so on and so on. So the other combo I was using, and it's a new one that I just picked up, was the Cast King Para G2. This is a 7-foot 1-inch medium action rod, fast tip. This is basically my rod I use for drop shotting. I use this rod for Senko fishing. I use this rod for Nico. You know, pretty much all my finesse stuff. It's super lightweight. I have it paired up with a Sharky 3. I believe this is the 1000 series, if I'm not mistaken. 11 bearings, 5:2 gear ratio. I have that spooled up with 15-pound test yellow Extremis Cast King line, and then I also have a 8-pound test fluorocarbon. Got that rigged up still with that Senko, but like finally I had to take the Senkos and start poking them through, and I don't like to do that so much, but those O-rings were just falling off left and right, and it was bothering me a lot. Yeah, this little rod, I just picked this up the other day. It came in on Friday, and super impressed with it. Also picked up a Para G casting rod, and was using that too with another bait caster I got, but I didn't use it that much. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's my recap for Lake Apacong. My next, we take the month of August off, and which is okay because it was hot. And then our next tournament is on the Potomac down in Maryland in September, and then October we go on the Delaware, which I'm pretty excited about because Delaware River's got some big old smallmouth, and I'm starting to become addicted to catching smallmouth. I've been going to my local river here and trying to catch some smallmouth in there. I have this feeling that there's some big ones in there. I've caught them somewhere over 2 pounds, some closer to 3. But in this area here, there's a lot of shallow water, so you got to find the deeper water. I think if I go further south from here on the Musconetcong, I can get on some bigger smallmouth. And I want to try the Pequest too, because I've heard the Pequest has got some good sized smallmouth too as well. But anyway, guys, yeah, that was it. It was a fun time. No check, but I got the points, and I'm still getting that experience. What I've been wanting to do. Ever since the heart attack, I've has totally focused on this thing, and my wife is super supportive, which is awesome. And she's liking the idea that she gets some time alone, and she gets to travel with me too as well to all these different towns and stuff. But yeah, guys, thanks for the support, thanks for the love. I know I haven't done a video in a while. I'm gonna try to do more of these tournament vlogs if I can. But yeah, just keep an eye on those Zoom Super Flukes, that white ice, those Yumdingers, which I'm going to try to, I think the Berkeley general baits next time. I want to see how they work out, and my $1 Christie kit that crazy enough worked. Alright, guys, thanks for the support. I'm going to go. It is a day off. I'm back to work tomorrow to that Walmart grind. But anyway, guys, thanks for the support. Thanks for the love. I love you guys. Stay safe on the water and tight lines.